Good morning, everyone. My name is Aaron Gale Castanuevo, and today we will be doing the biological molecule home experiment. Now, what this experiment entails is the submersion of different representatives of three different types of molecule. Um, the three of those being proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Now, what they will be submerged in is fruit juice. In this case, we've chosen specifically to use pineapple juice. 100% pineapple juice, unsweetened, none of that. For these specimens, I have chosen pork for the protein, for the representative for protein, and for the representative of fat, from the same cut of pork, I took out the fat. They're roughly the same size. And for the representative of the carbohydrates, I cut out a roughly equivalent slice of bread. Now, for the questions posed by this experiment, I have created one. And it says, which specimen will suffer the most drastic effect due to submersion in pineapple juice? And my hypothesis is that if all specimens were to be submerged in the juice, then the protein specimen will experience the most drastic change. Now, for the initial inspection of the samples, we'll pick up the fat first. The initial characteristics of the fat is, well, it's fairly wobbly. It's still soft. And now we have the protein. We can see that the protein is fairly rigid. This has been left to cool for a bit of time now. And for the bread, we can see that this is still very fluffy. Now, this portion is to set a baseline on how the specimens looked and acted before the submersion. So now I can show you the setup. So these are the plastic containers we'll be using to submerge the different biomolecules, and that is the juice we will be using. Now we will be pouring the pineapple juice into the containers, and we will be leaving them for 30 minutes. After that 30 minutes, we'll be submerging them in the juice for 30 more minutes, and then we'll take note of all the changes. Hello, I am back again, and we are here to inspect the changes after 1 hour of submersion in pineapple juice. So you can see here, we already have broken it. We have the representative for carbohydrates. We have the bread. As we can see, the bread is the representative that has suffered the most change. So you can see it's easily broken down. You see there? It's much soggier and softer than it was at the beginning of the experiment, which disproves my hypothesis that the proteins would suffer the most drastic change. Now let's move on to the proteins, which is represented by the pork. We can see I can feel no real difference actually. It's still fairly rigid. And as we can see, if we take a look, the middle container is the one that contains the protein. We can see some particles from the pork still in the pineapple juice. But If we look at the pork itself, I see no change. It's still fairly solid. The texture hasn't changed. And this is after 1 hour of submersion. Now we move on to the fat. It's received the same treatment as the pork, 1 hour of submersion in, well, pineapple juice. But I still can see no distinct changes. So yes, this has disproven my hypothesis that submersion of all-grain pineapple juice will result in the protein representative being the most drastically changed. Let's see the pineapple juice result. Even here you can see there's a piece of bread that has fallen out, and this already broke off before I could even touch the bread inside. There are some particles left, and here we have the container for the protein. So you can see there are some particles in there from the protein, pork, and same story over here from on the fat side. So yes, after 1 hour of submersion in pineapple juice, the bread has suffered the most drastic change.
This is the summary of our observations.
Our hypothesis was proven to be wrong. We didn't take into consideration the difference of mass between the three specimens. However, the data is reasonable because the bread being submerged in juice made it soggy. If we could run the experiment again, we would choose a carbohydrate with a similar mass to the protein and fat. As a conclusion, bread has suffered the most drastic effect due to submersion. This is because compared to pork and fat, bread is far less dense. After an hour, the bread became soft and saturated, while in pork, there was no notable changes but particles can be seen floating around the pineapple juice. This is due to the presence of bromelain, an enzyme found in pineapples which breaks down proteins. The pineapple juice also has little to no effect on fat.